All right, and we are live for episode 18 of The Expert and the Idiot. We're here today with Melissa Castro. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, that was perfect.
All right, cool. Of IsoHerps. Is IsoHerps like isopods and herps, or is it in search of herps?
Isopods and herps, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it could go either way, right? I'm sure you're always in search of herps. So you have bred Timor retic hybrids with Daniel, right?
Yes. Yeah. He I pretty much supplied him with my adult male timber python, and he worked his python magic with those guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now you've also bred scrub pythons, Dumerals boas, Colombian rainbow boas, Chinese water dragons, red tegus, tiger rat snakes, Amazon tree boas, bearded dragons, leopard geckos, Chinese cave geckos, Kenyan sand boas, Burmese pythons, bull snakes, false water cobras, red-footed tortoises, and you're the manager at the Riverside location Reptile Factory, correct?
Yep, that is correct. Yeah, I've had the
Right.
opportunity to work with a lot of cool stuff over the years.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's pretty impressive. So, how do you feel about the Timor retic hybrid thing, right? Because so a lot of the people that I've had on haven't bred any hybrid snakes, and it's kind of a hot button issue, right? I think, me personally, I think they're cool as hell to look at. I would never hybridize an animal. But I'm a member of some of the groups, on Facebook and things like that, and I love looking at them. So how do you feel about that? And what was the process, and what made you decide to hybridize the two Malayo pythons?
I personally have always thought hybrids were cool. I think they're neat. I think the super timbers, what we call them, are really cool. I have no bad feelings towards hybrids as long as it makes sense and isn't like two totally different animals with completely different needs. Basically, Daniel's done a lot of work with super dwarfs and stuff, and he had used to kept timber pythons and had planned on trying that breeding to hybridize them.
Mm-hmm.
And he had sold off his timber pythons and pretty much just talked to me about it. And I was like, yeah, man, if you want to try, I'm down, and I let him borrow my male, and it happened pretty much instantly.
Really? Do you plan on breeding them at some point? Just the Timors by themselves?
That's my main goal. I would love to produce timber pythons.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many do you have right now?
I just have one adult pair.
Okay. And how are they temperament wise?
They're not too bad. When they were fresher imports, they're really musky, super nippy when they were young. I've had them, I got them in 2016. So I've had them for a while now, and they've definitely calmed down a lot. Every once in a while, they'll be a little musky, but they're not as nippy as they once were.
And like, how big are they about?
I'd say the female is probably like in the 6 to 7 foot range, and the male is just a little smaller than her.
Okay. And did I see a picture of your daughter holding one of them?
Yeah.
So are they pretty laid back, or is it more? Do you have the same issue where they're kind of more cage defensive, and once you get them out, they're like a completely different animal?
Yeah, definitely a lot more defensive in the cage for both of them. My male is definitely a lot more calmer animal than the female too. So once you get him out, he usually settles down pretty quickly.
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it? Like in the cage, they're like it's like they think you're coming after them with a steak knife, and you're just going to do horrible things to them. And then once you get them out, they're just so chill and calm.
Very big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. So when did your obsession with reptiles start? What was the first animal you kept, and how'd you get into everything?
It started when I was a little kid. My older brother's always been really into fishing and stuff. And when he'd go fishing, he'd like see a frog or like a little gopher snake or something. And he'd bring it home to me and I'd get so excited and we'd set it up and keep it. And it just kind of started from there with everything my brother could catch me, I'd keep until I started like making my own money and could buy my own snakes. First thing I bought was a red tail boa.
Nice.
Yeah.
How old were you?
When I bought that snake, I was probably 13 or 14.
Okay. And was that like a Colombian or was it like a true red tail?
A Colombian, just like a common boa. Yeah.
Nice. How long did you have that animal for?
I had him probably about 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And then now we talked offline, obviously setting all this up, and you said that you've been kind of in the reptile industry for like 15 years now.
Yeah, a long time. I started when I was 14, volunteering at the local reptile shop by my house, and then eventually started working there. And I was there for probably like 2 or 3 years, and then I took a little break from working with reptiles for a while, and I worked for an emergency supply company for a few years, and then when COVID happened, things kind of got crazy with that job, and I started working with reptiles again. But I always had them throughout that time at home.
Nice. So what do you currently have at home?
Right now, like my main focus is basically like the scrub pythons, timber pythons. I love berms. I keep a lot of berms. I'm really into the Kenyan sand boas. Um, I like cyclera a lot. I've got Cuban rock iguanas, rhino iguanas. I'm working with beadeds as well. I got a pair of beadeds. I just got my first clutch from them actually, so I'm excited
Nice.
about that.
That's wild.
Yeah,
What do you like about them?
the
What
beadeds.
is yeah,
They're cool. Their personalities are different. The female I've had probably about around like 15 years ago. I got her or worked with her at the store I was at and eventually brought her home. My husband ended up getting her, and we've had her a long time. She's just always been fun. She's always been a sassy one. So I feel like I've learned a lot with her and how to work with them and stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of scrubs do you keep?
Southerns.
Okay. How many
Yeah,
do
I
you have?
have as far as my adults go, I have 3.1 and then I have two holdbacks from my previous clutches.
Nice. How many
Yeah.
clutches have you produced?
I just produced my third clutch this year of those guys.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. They're such smart, inquisitive little snakes.
Yeah. So what direction do you plan on going in with your projects and everything going forward? Does it just happen organically or do you see something and it really catches your eye?
Pretty much just kind of keep an eye on all the girls, look for ovulations, and then of course different times of years, like beginning of the year I usually start pairing up my Kenyan sand boas, fall time I usually start doing more python pairings.
Nice. So what is that like looking for ovulation? How do you do that?
Basically just keeping an eye on them. If I'm going through checking on my girls and I see someone super swollen and I haven't fed them in a while, I'll be like, you need a male.
That's awesome. So do you temperature cycle or like how do you get them to start ovulating?
I pretty much let things kind of happen naturally. I don't really keep things super spot on. I really let their temperatures fluctuate a lot. Like in the evenings, I kill most of my heat in all my reptile rooms and they get that nice cool down. And then the heat goes back on in the mornings until the evening and off again.
Nice. What about the do you keep any tortoises at your house or are those at the shop?
Tortoises, yeah. At my house, I have my group of redfoots. I have 11 red-footed tortoises. I have one big sulcata that's just my pet, and then I have a couple of baby leopard tortoises I've been raising, and then a couple Mojave desert tortoises just as
Wow.
pets.
Do you keep anything outdoors or is everything indoors?
All the tortoises are outdoors.
Okay. Can you kind of walk me through how you care for them and keep them outside?
Yeah, pretty much. The setup's similar for them across the yard. I have like shade nets up, and then I have a lot of different like hides. I use a lot of like little cat hides. They make like little cat houses. That's good size for like my tortoises to go in and stuff. And then for my sulcata, I have like a really big box shelter my husband built, and then we have shade nets over that. Um, The redfoots, I always flood their enclosure a few times throughout the day just to keep it nice and wet and super humid in there. They've got a lot more plants and foliage in there too,
Mm,
than like the sulcata does. And then the babies I keep in little tortoise tables out there.
wow. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Yeah, wintertime, I have a big tortoise table indoors that I bring my redfoots in, and then we're gonna build some heated dog houses to keep the bigger stuff out there throughout the winter.
Nice. What do your temperatures get down to in the winter?
The coldest I've seen is like the lower 40s.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, it
in
is pretty
Ontario,
cold.
California, in SoCal.
Wow. So are you keeping any snakes outdoors or is it just the tortoises?
Just the tortoises. Yeah, we plan to move the iguanas out there too, but as of right now, just the tortoises.
Okay. How many iguanas do you have?
I have 2 rhino iguanas, 2 Cuban rock iguanas, and then 1 Lewisii.
Okay. And do you plan on breeding them?
I do, yeah. I'd like to be able to produce, especially the Cuban rocks is one of my big goals. Those are my favorite lizards.
What's the like what so with your tortoises and your iguanas, what's their staple diet or is it all like fresh veggies that you're having to prepare daily?
For my iguanas and my redfoots, their diet's really similar. They do a lot of veggies and fruit, and then they also can handle quite a bit of protein. So, like when my redfoots are younger, I'll do like hard-boiled eggs, bugs,
Mm.
different types of insects. When they get older, I'll give them like organ mixes, or my whole group will annihilate a jumbo rat.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's insane.
yeah, it's pretty cool, man. They're pretty metal for tortoises.
I had no idea. So are you just like putting a frozen thawed rat in there and they just go over and go to town?
Yeah, pretty much. I usually just do pre-killed and put it in their pen, and they get all excited. They all just come together.
That is insane.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
they'll have it
can't.
gone usually in about an hour.
Wow. That's wild. I mean, I kind of want to see that, but at the same time, I don't. You
Right.
know? So, how many berms do you have? You said you were big on berms too, right?
Yeah, I have, uh right now, I think I have 6 berms.
Okay.
Yeah, I just produced my first clutch of berms, last year.
Are they like a morph or just normal?
They're morphs. I've got an ivory, an albino, a pearl, a green granite, a normal, and then, that's it actually, I think 5, yeah. Or
Yeah.
actually, no, I have 1 holdback granite too from last year's clutch.
And how big is your biggest berm?
My biggest girl is probably about 13 feet, and she's about 6 years old. She's the one that just produced for me last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what size enclosure is she in right now? And then what size enclosure do you think she's going to have to move into eventually?
Right now, she's in a 6 by 3 by 18.
Okay.
Um, I'm not too sure. I haven't made up my mind on what her like full-time big cage will be. I'll probably keep my males in the 6 by 3 by 18s forever, but I'll definitely do something bigger for the females.
Yeah. So you just try to keep the males a little bit smaller and modulate their feeding.
They're pretty solid size. Honestly, my hypo male has always been picky. He doesn't like rabbits. He doesn't like pigs. He's a jumbo rat eater. He only wants live
Wow.
jumbo rats. So I don't see him getting too huge. He usually takes like 2 jumbos of feeding.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are there any what do you think about the difference between feeding live and frozen thawed or pre-killed? Is there a safety concern? Do you supervise it to make sure that everything goes okay?
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's a better option to always feed pre-killed or frozen thawed, of course. That's what I do with the majority of my collection. Babies, I usually start live just because if it's a pinky or fuzzy, I'm not worried about that hurting my snake, you know. But for
Yeah.
the most part, pre-killed or frozen thawed's the way to go. Just not worth the
Yeah.
risk with the big stuff.
And you've recently gotten into quail as well, right?
Yeah.
Are you breeding them for like a feeder option?
Yeah, so I want to breed them as feeders. I'd love to, be able to offer like my pythons more variety, add quail to their diet, and have the eggs and birds for my beateds too. I also, my family likes to eat the eggs a lot, so it's pretty cool.
How much of a pain is it working with those eggs?
Working with the what?
Working with those eggs, the tiny quail eggs.
It's not too bad. It's not as bad as you would think with them being as itty bitty as they are.
Yeah. I feel like I'd need to eat like 24 of those in a sitting.
You would, yeah, to be full for sure. Yeah, they're
I
cool though. Once they start laying, they do every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right on. Now, how does breeding quail work?
It's pretty easy. I haven't I still need to get an incubator. So far all my eggs that I've been collecting, we've just been eating and giving to the animals. I believe they're fertile though because I have a pretty good ratio of males and females in there.
Hmm.
The cool thing is usually takes like 17 or 18 days for them to hatch. So that's a real quick turnaround time when you think about like breeding snakes and lizards, how long it takes.
Yeah. So would they incubate on their own, or do you just not want to go down that road because it would be like so unproductive for the animal?
From what I've researched, they basically are bred in captivity so much they lose their instincts to take care of the babies and actually like brood them, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. They just kind of leave the eggs and let them be. So
Oh,
if you
wow.
actually wanted something, you'd have to incubate them.
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I've thought about doing that myself. I just got set up with rabbits, so I want to try that out because I mean, shoot, with the cost of meat alone, I figure we could
Oh
eat the
yeah.
rabbits and we can also feed the snakes too. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yep, get a lot out of that for the family and the animals.
Yeah. So do you do any field herping?
Not as much as I'd like to. I went herping once in Arizona and that was a blast. We were able to find some collared lizards, bunch of garter snakes. It was really fun. It was interesting to see the collared lizards and like how much they dominate their little range at the top of the mountains on their rocks and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah,
How is their coloration in the wild? Were they pretty wild looking or
they
were
were
they kind
so
of
beautiful. Luckily, we were able to come across a few males and actually caught one, and he was gorgeous.
really?
Yeah,
I think that was my first like legit pet lizard or pet reptile. I think that I actually bought was a eastern collared lizard, and I remember just thinking like, man, his colors are so washed out compared to the books and things like
right.
that. But it was probably because I wasn't caring for him very well.
Yeah,
That's
they're
cool.
super fun, really personable. I think they're an underrated species for sure.
Yeah. Do you mess with bloods and short tails at all?
I had kept them in the past, but I ended up getting out of them. They weren't too much for me. Well, not my thing.
Why is that? I'm curious because I'm kind of on the fence about getting them myself. I really want them because of how beautiful they are.
Right,
But it seems like I don't like being displayed so much, and I like kind of display animals, so I'm kind of on the fence.
right. Yeah, they definitely love to bury themselves a lot. Just the thing for me with them was mostly just their personalities. None of them
Mm.
really stood out to me out of the little group that I had, and I definitely enjoyed other python species more. So I was like, I'll let you guys go.
Yeah. So, do you keep any boas currently?
Wise right now, I do have Amazon tree boas, and I actually just downsized a lot of my boa collection to focus more on my pythons and stuff. But currently boas, and then I have one hypo motley boa and a key island boa.
Nice.
Yeah,
What about the Chinese cave geckos? I'm not too familiar with them.
those guys are cool. Those were one of the first things I actually produced back when I was a teenager. They're not as common as they used to be. Um, they're really neat though. Really easy to keep too. They don't really require too much.
Yeah. What's in this giant cage right behind you?
That is Gucci. He is basically our store mascot. He is a huge black roughneck monitor.
Oh, wow. Are you in the store right now?
I'm in the store right now. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Are you guys open on Labor Day or are you closed?
We will be. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We open later in the day though.
Right on.
Yeah.
So with the berms, are they do you keep a lot of your animals at the store or are they kind of at your home too or
All of my personal animals are at my house.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. We have two reptile rooms. One, my husband is very much involved with the animals as much as I do. He actually works here with me too. But we have one lizard room and then we have one snake room, pretty much set
Okay.
up at home.
And how are you keeping them? Is that like are the are the snake room or the reptile rooms sort of an ambient temperature, and then you provide supplemental heat, or
I mostly use like ceramic heat emitters, and then I have like a lot of racks for my smaller stuff, like my corn snakes, Kenyan sand boas, and they use heat tape in those. And then like for my lizards, I mostly do like halogen basking bulbs and things like that.
okay. The Kenyan sand boas, are they out and about a lot, or do they kind of bury themselves?
They bury themselves a lot. Usually, when I'm going through my rack checking on them, I'll always just see their little face poking out, and that's it.
What's their care like? I'm assuming they want it arid and pretty dry, right?
They definitely like it drier. Yeah, dry and hot. I pretty much give them a nice deep substrate that they could totally burrow and just have fun in. They'd love making little tunnels and stuff in it. And then I always give them a hot spot of like 90, big water bowl.
Nice.
Yeah,
So 90 and dry, and how's their metabolism? Is it pretty slow? Because
definitely on the
they're
slower end for sure.
yeah. How often are you feeding them?
My adults I feed about like every 2.5 weeks, and then the babies I feed weekly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right
and the
on.
adults are on like jumbo mice to like weaned rats.
Okay. Do you prefer keeping your animals on substrate or paper?
I prefer the substrate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
like
is
for
that?
baby stuff or fresh hatchlings, I'll do paper towel. But once they're past that point, I like moving them on to either cocoa or just depending on what the animal is.
Okay. What do you think the benefit is of substrate over paper?
I just I think it retains humidity a lot better for a lot of different species. I think it's easier to clean. It absorbs, when a huge snake unloads, that's a lot easier to scoop out the nasty areas than have the cage flooded on paper.
Hmm. Do you where you're at, is your humidity pretty low?
It's on the lower end, I'd say. Yeah, it's not super high where we're at.
Okay. What kind of substrate are you using? Like a coconut like chip or
Yeah, so for most of my pythons and uh like boas that require humidity, I use the cocoa, pro cocoa. Sometimes
okay.
I'll mix in like Reptisoil with it too, just depends how I'm feeling.
Okay. And do you go the bioactive route?
For some things, like at home, I have my Amazon tree boas in a bioactive, and then I have all of my frogs in bios, but everything else I have set up in regular substrate and stuff.
Okay. And so for the Amazons and everything, what is the bioactive substrate made up of?
So that one's going to be ABG. So that's basically going to be like topsoil, charcoal, orchid bark, sphagnum moss, leaf litter, all kind of combined into one thing.
Right on. And then what bugs are you adding in there?
I do isopods and springtails. I kind of do a variety of different isopods just because I have so many on hand. So a few different species of those guys, and then a bunch of springtails in there.
What are your go-to isopods?
For like a bio,
Yeah.
um, for like my bigger bios, if I want to see them running around, I really like the dairy cows just because they're super active. I'll
Hmm.
do those with my snakes, not so much my amphibians, just because they do have a higher drive for protein, and I don't want them nibbling on the frogs. They don't seem to be an issue with my snakes, though.
Yeah. So when a snake goes to the bathroom, are you kind of spot cleaning that, or do you just mix it into the substrate and let the bugs do their job?
So I still spot clean and pull like poops and sheds and things like that. I'll leave a little bit of the shed because isopods will break it down, but they're good sized snakes, so they won't do it in a quickly manner. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
do like to pull the poop and shed when I do see it.
right on. So just spot clean here or there. Do you do live plants with them as well?
I do, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, my bios are fully planted. They're a lot of fun. You could get real creative with them.
Yeah, it's something I want to get into. I definitely want to try that out. What when when you said that all your heat turns off at night, and what are your what's the ambient room temperature when that heat is off?
I'd say that room stays pretty hot. I'd say it's like in the upper 70s to lower 80s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good ambient temperature then. How do
Yeah.
you how do you control that in that room?
I don't. I use a temp gun and I just basically check what it is in there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not like they're just regular. They're all at my house, so it's not like insulated any different way. They're just regular like bedrooms.
Okay. Cool. So you're not like having to go out of your way to do anything. It's just working right into your natural setup.
Yep.
What how do you feel about UV lighting? Do you provide that for any of your snakes or lizards?
Not for any of my snakes. I provide it for all of my lizards and like I have some box turtles indoors that I use it for. If you wanted to have it for your snakes, I don't see it being bad, but I don't see the need for it personally.
Okay. What's your go-to UV?
UV?
Yeah, like what brand do you use or setup like for the tortoises and stuff?
I do a lot of like Zoom Med stuff. Like my Redfoots, I do like the 5.0s. My leopards would do like 10.0s when they were younger and indoors. They're outside though, so I don't have that on them now. But when they are indoors,
Nice. So you and your husband work together at the shop?
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
cool.
pretty
Do you
much
guys
manage the store, and he builds all the birch enclosures, and we also make a lot of bedding in house that we sell here.
nice. So those enclosures behind you, he made those?
Yeah,
Wow, those are nice.
they are. Yeah, they're cool.
That's awesome. So what's a daily like routine there at the shop of everything you have to go through?
Usually, like, I work up front, so I always like in the mornings prep the store. Make sure we got feeders, cups, spot clean the animals, fresh water, mist all the bios, things like that. Make sure the feeders are stocked. That's a huge thing. We sell a ton of feeders, so
Mm.
always cupping and restocking.
Is that like your one of your like primary like bread and butter sellers is the feeders that's guaranteed to go?
Definitely, yeah. Especially because like when you sell animals to people and they become regulars, they're coming in weekly always to get those feeders. So that's
Yeah.
something that's always constant.
So how do you set up people to succeed with a new animal?
It's fun to set up the enclosure for them. Like we sell full kits, depending on the animal. We'll walk them through why they need this, why they need that, what this supplement's for, why um, stuff is needed. A lot of people feel like you're trying to sell them things they don't need. They come in without doing research, and you want to sell them a heat and UVB light for their tortoise, and they're like, why? It's like it's indoors, it's not exposed to that outside. Like
Yeah. So I'm assuming you guys probably go through a lot of ball pythons and bearded dragons and things like that.
Yeah, ball pythons, bearded dragons, corn snakes. We have a lot of beginner stuff. We always cycle through pretty regularly. We do get a lot of fun, kind of more obscure stuff into.
So once somebody buys something and they go home and then do you notice that they get just as addicted as everybody else and they end up coming back and buying another snake and another lizard and so on and so forth?
A lot of people. Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a lot of regulars that come in for their first reptile. They have it a while, and every time they come to pick up feeders, there's something else catching their eye in here. And then, of course, they decide to bring it home, and it just kind of snowballs after that.
You get them hooked.
Yeah, we see it start with a lot of people, that's for sure.
Yeah. Are you guys breeding animals there at the shop or do you mostly get things wholesale?
We don't do too much breeding here. We've done a few like tarantula breedings. We produce some curly hairs, and we tried to do some versicolors. Um, we're probably going to get more geared towards breeding more stuff here. It is cool. Like we do get a lot of imported animals too. We had a Brazilian rainbow boa that came in and actually had a huge litter, so we had to raise all those babies, take care of them. But
Oh
we get a
wow.
lot of stuff from private breeders locally and all over the U.S.
Where did it come in from? Gravid.
It was a fresh import. We had
Oh
gotten in a
wow.
group of them.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them
So
actually looked anery in that litter too that we held back here and are just kind of growing up for now.
oh wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a ton of space in the back where you can do that, the kind of breeding aspect?
Yeah, we're working on kind of transforming our office into less of an office and more of like a our breeding and like quarantine area. Right now, it's pretty much just our quarantine for when new animals come in, and we want to expand it more into like a little breeding zone too.
What's the quarantine process like?
Pretty much for snakes, when we get them, soak them, treat them for mites. We usually keep them in the back for about a month, get a few meals in them. Once they're good, we send them out to the stores.
Nice. So obviously mites are the number one concern. When you say soak them, what are you soaking them in?
When we get them, we just like to soak them in regular water just to make sure they're hydrated from wherever they came from. And then
Mhm.
we usually use a Frontline on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how do they go into like a tub that's been treated as well?
Yeah. So we have like a quarantine rack where we're just going to keep them on basic paper towel for the time that they're back here. Just easy to clean them, keep an eye on them, make sure we don't see anything.
And then what's the process if you do see something? I'm sure that's inevitable, right? Having imports and wholesale animals come through.
Right. Yeah, basically we just we hold them back until they acclimate and start doing good until they can go out. Yeah, a lot of animals sometimes take longer than others to settle in
Okay.
and be happy.
Yeah. So what happens if you do see mites? Like how do you treat for that?
If we do see mites, then they'll get Frontline again. It's usually pretty good though. Uh, the Frontline really kills them good. So usually it's one treatment kind of thing, especially
Nice.
after a good soak.
Okay. Which are there any that come in that are more prone to having issues that you guys have to deal with, or is it kind of just a crapshoot where some have issues and some don't?
Most things are pretty good. Luckily, like with a lot of the importers, they could go and actually handpick some of the animals so they know they're getting good stuff, and it's not kind of just like a grab bag. Here you go, not knowing what you're getting. They could go
Yeah.
and pick out the better looking animals.
What are some of I'm assuming, is that how you found your Timors, was just something that came into the shop?
No, my timber pythons. That was back when I was working at the emergency supply store. I saw someone in one of the local Facebook groups. They posted 1.2 timber pythons in their three 4 by 2 by 18 melamine cages for $1,500 for all
Mm,
three on the cages. And I was like,
wow.
oh my god, like I had to get it. Like, and we jumped on that quick.
How old were they?
I'm not sure on their exact age with them being imports, but they were on adult mice when I got them.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I hope you're successful breeding them. I feel
Me
like there
too,
needs
man.
to be.
That's one of my biggest goals out of everything I got going on right now for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they're such cool animals, and I feel like they don't get enough love. I think if they get if there's more captive breeding and more of an effort to get them established in captivity where there's more just breeding in the US, I think it'll be good for the animal. I think that they'd probably
Definitely.
mellow out and become a better pet.
Yeah.
So how many the Super Timors, do you still have any of those?
I have three of them. Yeah.
Okay. What
They're
do you
really
plan on
interesting.
what do you plan on doing with them?
Um, right now they're just really my badass pets. I think they're really cool looking. Their personalities are really neat. They're I'd say they're more like a retic than a timber in the sense of like their food drive kind of in the enclosure and stuff. They have the most craziest feeding response out of any snake like I've ever had.
Really?
Once you get them out though, they're totally fine. All three of them are super chill, but they are nuts in the cage.
What year did you guys produce those?
I think that was 2019 or 2020 around that
Okay.
time.
So they're getting up there then.
Yeah.
How big are they now?
I'd say they're like in the 4.5 to 5 foot range.
Okay. How big do you think they're going to get?
I really don't know.
Mm,
I've seen a really big timber python. The first timber python I ever saw was when I was in Texas and I got to visit the snake farm zoo, and it was huge, man. Like, um, if I had to guess, it was all coiled up, but it was at least like 12 or 13 feet. It was massive,
what?
and it was like this thick. It didn't
Jeez.
look overfed either. It didn't have rolls or nothing. It was just huge timber python they had on display there.
Wow. And that was
Yeah,
pure.
I've never seen one like that since.
Wow. And that was just a pure Timor?
Yeah, pure Timor. Yeah.
Wow. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to house them. Although I'm in Florida and I'm kind of considering keeping mine in an outdoor enclosure.
That
I
would be
think that,
cool.
yeah, I think it might be interesting to try that out and give them like a heated hide box that they can go into during the winter.
Hmm.
But I feel like it's, hot and wet here and it might be kind of what they're used to from, weather wise.
Right.
So how many of the super team wars did you guys have in the clutch?
I think there was 10 or 11 total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Did you sell those or did Daniel?
He sold all of his, I kept all of mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kept your three?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, they're wild looking. Every time I see them, I have to stop and stare for a second.
Yeah, they're trippy, man.
Yeah. What did the retic look like out of that pairing?
She was a pure Kalatoa super dwarf.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you with all the animals you have and you kind of touched on humidity and everything and the substrate helping with the humidity. Do you have to mist or like how do you personally maintain humidity in your enclosures?
I usually do by misting, or like if the substrate is drying out, I'll add water to it and mix it up really good. But I definitely like to mist heavy in the mornings every day for everybody.
Oh wow. Okay, so you mist daily?
Yeah.
And when you
Well,
say
especially this time of year, it's hotter. It's been triple digits lately, so it dries out a lot quicker in my room. So I got
geez.
to do it a little more frequently.
So are when you say you'll mist heavy, like are you just going in there and making sure everything gets hit with water or are you like really holding it in one spot for a little bit of time?
I usually try to shoot it mostly around like the water bowl area and just make it a lot more wet on that side and not so much on that way. That way it's not just all, wet. They kind of have a drier area they could go to too.
Yeah. Do you think that's pretty important for their health to be able to get away from the moisture?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to like oversaturate things.
Yeah. Have you ever had any issues that makes you kind of want to give them that ability to get away from it?
No, not in my experience.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
What do you have any hygrometer or anything like that that you actually check the humidity or are
I
you
don't
just
use any like humidity gauges or anything. I'll pretty much just put my hand in the cage, see what it feels like, and use my judgment from there.
okay? Do you care for the animals at the shop the same way you care for your animals at home?
Yeah, I implement a lot of my keeping methods here.
Nice.
Yep.
How often do you change your water?
The waters we do here we do them daily. At home, I'll do them like every couple of days or so.
Wow, daily
Yeah.
water changes.
Huh?
I said that's pretty incredible doing daily water changes.
Yeah, in the store it's easy. We've got a really nice setup and a super awesome sink, so it's really easy to knock those out quickly.
And what does that look like? Do you pull all the bowls and then wash them and put them back and refill, or do you have kind of spares?
Exactly. We get a big tub, collect all the water bowls, bring them in the back, wash them, and then give everybody back their bowls and fresh water.
Wow. How many animals do you know?
Right now, like out front, we probably have, I'd say around like 60 or 70 animals.
Wow. That's a lot of water bowls.
Yeah, keep in mind too, that's like a big baby rack with a lot of little teeny ceramic bowls in there too, and like little dishes in the bios for frogs. It's not a bunch of huge, bulky bowls, but
Yeah. What about false water cobras? How do you keep those?
those guys, I have my female in a 4x2x18. I use the cocoa on her. Big water bowl, they love soaking. And then I just do like the Home Depot cement mixing tubs with a big hole cut out as a hide.
Mm. Is it like imperative for them to have something that they can soak in?
Yeah, yeah, they love the water. They really
Yeah.
enjoy soaking for sure.
They're how often do you have to feed them?
My female, I feed once a week. The babies, when I had them, I'd feed like every 5 days.
Wow. And
Yeah,
their food response is insane, right?
it is. Yeah, and they have fast metabolisms too.
Nice. Have you ever been bit by one?
I did get bit by my male one time. He chewed on me pretty good. I'm not allergic to bees or anything like that, so I didn't have an allergic reaction, but my hand was just really swollen and sore for about 3 days before it started to finally start going down.
Were you nervous?
Not too nervous. The first night I was kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen with this, but then the next day I'm like, all right, this just sucks, but it's okay.
Yeah. Have you ever been bit by anything else that was venomous?
Nothing else that was venomous, no, thankfully.
Yeah. Do you have experience with other venomous animals?
Uh, when my husband first moved in with me, he had acquired a albino atrox that we had for about 4 or 5 years, but I didn't really have much interest in that. He basically took care of it.
Okay. And what ended up happening to him?
That one we ended up giving to a friend when we had my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't blame you.
yeah, yeah. I was kind of nervous about it, always having it. That was more his thing than mine, but yeah.
Yeah. What would you ever keep any other venomous species, or is false water cobras good enough for you?
I think just the falsies and the beadeds are going to be it as far as that goes.
Yeah. Are there any like the beaded lizards, can you just get them, or does it take like any kind of a special permit or anything like that?
Where I'm at in SoCal, you don't need any kind of permit or anything. I do think in San Diego, for some reason, you need a permit to own those guys.
Hmm.
But here, you could go to any pet store if they have one and buy it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And when do you handle them?
Mine aren't very nice, so I don't handle them too much. Just like when I need to pull them out for maintenance and whatnot.
Yeah. And when you do pull them out, like what's your procedure? Do you have gloves?
I don't use gloves with them. I could grip them a lot better with my bare hands. They're really easy to manipulate if you like know their personalities. You could kind of get a good feel for them, what they're thinking.
Mm. How many years have you been working with them?
Probably about 15 years.
Oh wow. So you got a
Yeah.
lot of experience with them.
Yeah. Well, we started with the one we raised from a baby, and we raised her, um, and she's huge now. And then recently acquired the male for her just this year, and they bred and had a clutch quick.
Wow. What what about shipping them? Like can you sell them outside the state? Like how does that work when it comes to selling the babies?
You could ship them. It was a while ago. I remember we shipped one uh, here probably about like 3 or 4 years ago. We couldn't do it through like, of course, regular like ship your reptiles or anything like that. I don't think. I think we had to do it like not like Delta, but some kind of like air freight.
Mm,
Yeah. And then
that's
of
kind of
course, you
annoying.
got to know the legalities of whatever state it's going to.
Yeah. So how big is your girl?
I'd say she's probably about like 2.5 feet, maybe a little bigger.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a big lizard.
it is. She's a solid size.
Are they pretty strong too? They look like they're just all muscle.
They are, man, and they're big time diggers. You'll always hear them digging and trying to destroy their cages. They're always wanting out.
Wow. What kind of substrate do you have them on?
For them, I do the cocoa mixed with the Repti soil.
Okay. Do they like higher humidity or more arid?
They do. They love soaking too. So like they spend a lot of time soaking in their water bowl.
Huh. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically water lizards. They love it.
Wow. Okay. And what sizing, like what in your mind, what's like the ideal enclosure size for them?
I have mine in a 6 by 2 by 2 right now, but they honestly they love climbing. So I think if I could go taller for them in the future, they'd definitely utilize all that space with a lot of branches and stuff.
Wow, I didn't know that they like climbing either.
They do, yeah.
That's wild. And so they're getting what's a hot spot for a beaded lizard?
Them I keep at about 90.
90?
Yeah,
Okay. That's not too extreme.
it's not.
Okay. So 90 hot spot, 6 by 2 by 2. They like to soak, higher humidity. And what about when they're babies? What do you keep them in at that size?
When they were babies, when she was a baby, I kept her just in a smaller birch enclosure.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to say something probably like around a 40-gallon size, bunch of hides, big water bowl.
Okay. And do you just so when you have like a clutch of those, who's buying those? People that are experienced with them?
This is my first time with my own babies. When we sold them in the stores, the people that were after those animals were usually people that had been doing a lot of research and kind of like that was like their holy grail animal that they wanted to get. But a lot
Mhm.
of noobs too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does that kind of concern you at all when you have like a newbie coming in looking for a beaded lizard?
It does. You kind of got to fill them out, see what their knowledge is, but if that's the animal you want and you want to start with, you might as well get what you want instead of getting something else that you don't really like.
Yeah. How bad, like, do you have like how bad is a bite from one of them? Like, what would you do if you were to be bitten by your female?
My husband actually got bit by our big girl, and it was actually a dry bite. She didn't really get to chew on him or anything, but it was just a huge bite. And it really didn't get swollen or anything. Um, I
Huh.
was surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Yeah, yeah,
That's that's
yeah. I don't
pretty
think he was
wild.
envenomated at all.
Where did he get bitten?
He got bit on the side of his neck, kind of, and like almost jaw.
Oh, what a terrible spot too.
Yeah, we were taking maternity photos, and he had her out for that, and that went totally south.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Man, I'm glad he's okay.
yeah.
So do they actually I'm totally ignorant with beaded lizards. Do they actually is it like a saliva thing or do they actually have like venom glands?
They have venom glands, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Do you plan on just like are you going to keep some holdbacks or
I'm gonna keep one baby for sure, at least. Yeah, just because
yeah.
we've had the mother for so long, it's cool to finally have babies from her.
How long do they live?
I'd imagine a long time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but I'd imagine 30, if not more years than that. Yeah,
Wow.
because our girl's probably around the 15 mark now and just had her first clutch.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And you just have a pair of them right
Yeah.
now?
Yep.
And what's your plan to keep another female?
I'd probably like to get another female down the line. Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely happy with the two for now.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I've always been drawn to them, but I mean, they're definitely not like a pet. I mean, if
Right.
if you think of a pet as something that you like sit down and hold,
Right.
I guess the iguanas are probably better for that.
Yeah. They're pretty emotional though, so it depends on the day with those guys.
Yeah, with the iguanas or with the beaded lizards.
The iguanas.
Okay, what do you mean by emotional?
They just they're cool. I guess they have like different personalities. Like Kip, my Cuban rock iguana, he has his days where like he's fine with me. I could take him out, we're chilling. Then some days he just wants to charge me, try to bite me. Like he goes through a lot of emotions. Just depends on the
Mm.
day how he's feeling.
So, would you think of them as more of a experienced keeper pet?
I would definitely say so, especially because as babies, they're very flighty. They want to get away. Every time you pull them out, they're going to want to poop on you. A lot of people aren't going to want to deal with that, especially if they're new to lizards. They want something
Mhm.
they could just hold and isn't going to shit all over them.
Yeah. Do you still keep tegus?
Yes, I have one pair of red tegus.
Okay. And what size enclosure do you have them in? Are they indoors?
Right now, they're indoors. They're in a 6 by 3 by 18, like the same size for the berms. We've kept them outdoors before, but they seem a lot happier inside. We've gotten better production from them inside too.
Hmm. What did so is that just kind of what you were basing the happiness off of was just their ability to produce?
Just that, and it was harder to get them heated properly outside the way we were
Mm.
doing it. So their temperatures are maintained a lot better indoors.
What's their hotspot like for a tegu?
Mine between like 120 and 130.
Wow.
They like it hot.
That's yeah, that is hot. Yeah, so it's got to be hard getting that set up outdoors. I had a black and white tegu, and we kept her until she started like going after our feet, and
Oh
like
yeah.
and then we had cats too, and she tried to eat the cat's feet, and then I think we sold her to like a high school or a college, I can't remember. And they had a gigantic cage that she was going into, so I felt really good about it.
Right on.
Yeah. Are the reds, is their care different from the black and whites?
I keep them the same way as the black and whites. I used to have them when I was a teenager, and I keep them the same way.
Okay. So 120, 130 hotspot and
Yep.
okay. Yeah. So again, they probably do better inside. I mean, it'd be crazy to, if you had to keep them outside, I guess you would have to give them supplemental heat, right?
Right. Yeah, our hottest days here usually are like 108 or so.
Yeah. Which is still incredibly hot.
Yeah, definitely not a fan of the triple digits.
Yeah. How long does that last for there?
Usually, from like June to like I'd say like mid-September, so we're finally almost approaching our cool down.
Okay. Yeah, it's like it's great. Like everybody talks about Florida being hot, but we only get to like the mid to high 90s. But the humidity is so high that it feels
Right,
so
that
much
always makes
more.
it so much worse.
Yeah, it's so extreme feeling when you're out in it. So with your berms and everything, what are you feeding? Are you doing rabbits and pigs and stuff for the big girls?
So I mostly do pigs. Rabbits have been harder to find around here lately. So pigs for the most part. My bigger ones will take like a 3 or 4 pound pig, and they'll be good for the month. I pretty much feed once a month on those guys.
Wow. Where do you source your pigs from?
We get them here at work, so that's easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So they're frozen and you have to thaw them out and then just hand them over?
Exactly. Yeah, they're stillborn little fetal pigs, so frozen thawed, thaw them out, and then I just usually use some big tongs to hand them to the snakes.
Wow. How long, like after they eat a meal that size, like how long are they just totally out of the game? Like you don't want to handle them or anything like that?
I usually give them at least like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let them stay on their heat and digest, and just not bother them.
Yeah. Do they get pretty lethargic and just kind of hide?
Kind of. They're out a lot, honestly. They're not too like shy, I guess.
Yeah. Do you keep any retics?
Yes. Retic wise, I just have one Anery Calitoa super dwarf and then one female Calitoa. So just super dwarfs.
Nice. Do you plan on breeding those?
I do. Yeah, I'd like to.
Nice. How old are they?
The female I want to say is like 2.5 years, and then I believe the male is around like 4 years old.
Okay. Who
Yeah,
did you
both of
get
them
those
were
from?
produced by Daniel.
Oh, okay. Right on. And are you like what size? They're pretty active, right? So they need like a larger enclosure even for their smaller size.
They would definitely utilize a lot of climbing room and stuff like that. Yeah, the male I have in a 4x2x2, and then the girl's not super huge yet. She's still in a V70 tub.
Nice. Is the male older?
Yeah,
Okay. How old is he?
I believe he's like 4 years old.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. That'll be a cool pairing when you get to that point.
yeah. It'd be nice to get retics under my belt. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah, you've got so many other things. What about the Dumerals boas? Do you still keep them or are they was that
Those
a
guys I don't keep anymore. Those were one of the first things I got into when I wanted to breed was my paradumerals. I produced those guys in 2013, and then I had one smaller litter. I want to say in like 2018, but not
okay.
long after that when I sold them off.
Nice. What about the tiger rat snakes?
Those guys were a lot of fun. I got out of those guys, but I had a trio of them, and I was able to produce one clutch with those guys.
Okay. And what size cage were they in?
I had them in a 4x2x4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I had them together.
Okay, so they were cohabbed in a larger enclosure.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you I'm sorry, do you still breed the false water cobras?
Not anymore. I just have my one big female as my pet now, the girl that was
Okay.
the mama to the babies.
Okay. What did you sell the male or
I got rid of the male, yeah.
yeah, just too much?
Yeah, I was, downsizing a lot of stuff. My dad had passed away, so I kinda needed some funds at the time, so a few things I just kinda had to let go of.
Okay. Was your dad into reptiles?
He wasn't really into them, but he always thought mine were cool. Like, he didn't have a
Yeah.
problem with them or anything.
Was is there anybody in your mind that stands out that in your family that was into reptiles?
Pretty much just my brother. Yeah, because 'cause he'd
Yeah.
always catch me stuff, and then he had a California king snake, and, one of my first snakes actually is a rosy boa that he caught that I still have. So we've
Nice.
always had, like, reptiles in the family.
How are the rosy boas? Do they hide a lot?
She doesn't hide too much. She's got hides in the cage, but she really doesn't utilize them too much. She's usually out in the open climbing on things.
Hmm.
Definitely a lot more, like, active and out and about than the sand boas.
Okay. Yeah, my son wants he wants like one of those smaller size boas. I've kind of I told him that he probably wouldn't be super impressed by the sand boas because they hide so much, you know.
Right. They're like little
So
trimmers, though, they're fun.
yeah, so I maybe the a rosy boa would be a better direction to go in for him.
Something he could actually see a little more active, he'd probably appreciate.
Yeah, is your daughter into reptiles?
She loves them. Yeah, she loves doing the rounds with me in the morning. She's always fighting me for the mister to mist everybody. She's
That's
very
awesome.
involved with everything at home.
How do you control the temperature with the ceramic heat emitters? Do you
Those
use like
ones, I don't have them hooked up to a thermostat or anything. I'll pretty much just use my temp gun and just hit the hotspot and see where it's at.
okay. And then if it's too high, like what would you consider too high? And then how would you adjust it?
If it was too high, depending on the animal, I would usually just shut it off. I have a app on my phone that controls all the lighting, which is pretty easy to just turn it off if I need to let things cool down, or if it's too cold, I'll just go up a higher wattage.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you kind of like start at a lower wattage and then work your way up if it needs it.
See where, yeah, I'll start with what I think would be okay, and then I'll temp gun it, see where it puts me, and it's either okay or I need to go hotter or lower or just.
So what's your go-to wattage for like a 4x2x2?
For what kind of animal?
For just let's say a Timor Python,
Timber python, I'd probably do like a 50 watt.
50 watt.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would get you around 90.
Yeah. I try to keep the hotspot for them around 85. Sometimes it'll peak at 90.
Yeah. So you probably see like a lot of fluctuation in the morning. It's obviously cooler, right? Because it's been off all night, and then it goes up as the day goes on and gets warmer, and then kind of goes down again.
Yep.
That's got to be more natural for the animals, right? I mean,
That's
that's
what
what
I
it.
figured. They're kind of feeling the natural cycles of what's going on throughout the year.
Yeah, that's I use the deep heat projectors, so it's pretty much a ceramic heat emitter, very similar. But yeah, I just kind of let it in the morning. It's probably like 80, 82, and then as the day goes on, it kind of the temperature rises with the house, and then it sort of tapers off in the evening. I think it's got to be better than I don't know if you were just like on a constant 90 all day and all night.
Exactly. Yeah. There's nothing natural about that.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think that happens in the wild.
Right.
So what are you working on right now? Any projects that you're really excited about?
Right now, for this year, I think we're pretty much done. I'm not expecting too much towards the end of the year. Next year, of course, I'm going to hopefully really work on producing some timbers. That's one of my main things I want to focus on is that pair. Um, it's nice to know that my male works and can do his thing. I just need to get him to like her.
Yeah. So if you want to breed them next season, is there anything you're doing to try to optimize that and make sure it happens?
Um, I'm not too sure exactly what I'm going to do differently to try to get them to do anything. Um, I'm just gonna pretty much just introduce them when it rains. I've noticed a lot with my pythons is when we have really heavy rainstorms too. That really gets them going. What I'll do is we'll open the windows in the reptile rooms, and they'll really feel what's going on out there. That was the first time we were successful with the scrub pythons, was when a really big rainstorm hit and they just started locking like crazy.
Hmm.
So I just kind of got to keep keep it out for when it rains and start pairing stuff up is a good time.
Are you pairing them prior to that, or do you wait for the rain and then put them together?
I usually wait for the rain to start.
Okay, so they're separated, and have they been on like how do you change their feeding habits leading up to that time?
The feeding habits, I really don't change too much. I will feed them a little less just because I don't want to have them digesting and kind of like, I don't know. I want them to be more focused on doing stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so you start cutting back on food like around November?
Honestly, not too much. I'll do smaller meals, but I won't really cut back. I'll just not do something as big as they're used to.
Okay. So smaller but sort of the same frequency, and how often are you feeding them? Like every 2 weeks or once a
The
month?
timbers I do every 2 weeks, yeah. And I do
Okay.
variety. Like one time they'll get like a large rat, next time they'll get a quail, next time few jumbo mice.
Hmm. Do you notice that they get diarrhea when you give them quail?
Birds definitely, yeah. That is one
Yeah,
downside. Yeah, the
I know.
feathers don't bind as well for sure.
Yeah, my Timors are the same way. It's like they paint the cage after I give them quail.
Yeah, you don't look
Nasty.
forward to that cleaning, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's wild too. They get it up on the walls and everything. It's
Oh
crazy.
yeah, they'll paint it for you.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So, and then going into the spring, once you start getting the rain, then you open up the windows, and do you think it's like a pressure difference in the humidity
Definitely.
and okay.
Yeah, they definitely feel that, and it definitely gets them feeling some sort of way for sure.
And do you sort of compound that and miss the cage at the same time, or
Yep,
do you just okay?
yep,
And so they're separated, and you get into the spring, and you start getting the rainstorms, and then you just put them together and mist and open the windows,
yep.
and that's been pretty successful so far.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
Okay. And then the temperatures, you're just allowing the normal fluctuations, and feeding stays about the same.
Yep. Yeah, it'll get a
That's
little
cool.
colder, but not too much. Nothing that's concerning.
And you said your winter is getting to like the 40s?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if it worked for your scrubs, I'm hoping it'll work for the Timors. That'll be cool.
Right, me too.
How long have you had them again?
The Timbers? I
Yeah.
got them in 2016, so like 9 years, I think.
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
that right.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, hopefully they're ready to go.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And you said your male he's pretty manageable size, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's real pretty too. He's a lot lighter than my female. Like he's almost like yellow and she's like a lot darker. It's crazy how much the individuals just vary on their own too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've seen a lot for sale that are almost like a really dark kind of olive green,
Yeah.
and it looks like a digital camo pattern.
That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, and mine the ones I have are from Ryan Young, and they all have that a lot of the yellow on their sort of sides and bellies, and it really pops after they shed. They look incredible after they shed.
How many of those guys do you have?
I have 2.1.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had just gotten a pair of 23s from Ryan, and then I found a, a 2022 that was also from Ryan being sold by a pet shop. So I couldn't pass it up. I had to get them.
Nice.
So I'm hopeful that since they're all captive bred, that it'll help, and I'll be successful producing more.
I definitely wish you the best of luck with those guys. There needs to be more captive bred babies for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see. I think I have a long time before I can even start trying, probably a
Right.
good 5 or 6 years or more.
That'll be fun raising them up though.
Yeah. Did you so yours do you think that's have you tried them in the past, or is this going to be your first time trying them?
I've tried pairing them before and they didn't have any interest at all. Yeah, I don't
Mm,
know if it was because my female was too young or I'm not exactly sure at what point is the best time for those guys yet. Still trying to figure that out.
yeah, that's cool. So what drew you to reptiles? Why do you like reptiles so much?
They've always been fun. I guess just catching them as a little kid, just being out in nature, all that was really cool to me. Having pet snakes at home was always fun. I always enjoyed them and interacting with them and stuff.
Yeah. What about cats and dogs? Do you have regular pets,
I
as
do
people
have
say?
regular pets. I have two cats and two dogs, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a dog and the rabbits too. The rabbits, I'm a little worried about handling them and then going around the snakes. I just gotta make sure I wash my hands and everything.
Right, yeah, just wash up good, make sure no fur's on your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. The I have a Argentine boa, and she's a voracious feeder, so I wouldn't want her to think I'm a fuzzy animal coming into her cage.
Is she pretty big already?
She's like 6 foot,
Right
but
on.
yeah, but I mean, man, she packs a punch when she strikes.
Oh,
So
I bet.
yeah, hopefully, I'll end up breeding her in the future. That's like one of my favorite boas is the Argentines.
That would be fun. Boa litters are my favorite. Just looking in and seeing a pile of babies one day is the best.
Yeah, how's the mess though? Cleaning up after them.
It's definitely gross, but it's so exciting. It's worth it.
Yeah, I bet. And they get pretty big litters too, right?
Yeah, especially like if you had a big Argentine girl, you could probably get a lot from that.
Yeah, I've seen some that were insane. I want to say like litters that were like 40 or 50
Yeah.
babies. It's nuts.
One of my the biggest boa litter I ever had was a big, huge, just hypo BCI girl, and she had I think it was 54 live babies. There was some slugs in there too, but 54 that were okay from that whole litter.
Jeez. So 54 live and then slugs in there as well.
Yeah,
That is crazy.
yeah,
And that was yours?
yeah. That was my biggest litter to date.
Wow. Do you still have her?
Her, I don't have anymore. I got rid of a lot of my boas these last few months.
Yeah. Just zeroing in on the pythons.
Yep. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That and my daughter just started school recently, so there's a whole lot of more moving parts and time getting pulled in different directions. I want to focus on my main stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous how much time the animals can take up when you've got a ton of them and then you have to prioritize.
Yep, definitely.
Do you know about how many snakes you have right now?
Right now, more than normal because I do have the baby scrub python clutch and clutches of baby corns and baby Kenyans. So I'd say I'm probably a little over 100 snakes right now at home.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that okay, and yeah, so that's I mean, with all those babies, that's not too bad.
it's not too bad. No, yeah, probably like 30 of that is babies. Probably 30 baby snakes that I won't be keeping.
Yeah. How many babies do the Kenyans have?
My first litter, I want to say it was a first time mom too. She had 12 babies, and then I've had some smaller litters. I think I had my Annery girl had like 9 babies.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's not too overwhelming.
no. Yeah, the little Kenyans are easy to deal with.
Yeah. How long have you been keeping them for?
The Kenyans I got into about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Are
I've
they
thoroughly enjoyed keeping them.
are they pretty easy to breed? Are they pretty straightforward?
Super easy to breed, yeah. You just gotta be careful. One of my big mistakes in the beginning is, I left my male in with the female too long, and he ate almost all the babies when she had them.
What?
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. I looked in there, and there's one baby in there. I was like, "Oh my god, no way!" And then my big old fat male in the corner, I was like, "Wow, I didn't think she was gonna drop that soon. I should have pulled him a lot sooner."
Oh, I wonder how many he ate.
Right? He was huge, dude. Like, he ate too many. He wasn't comfortable, that's for sure. But he ended
I-
up digesting it all and passing. I just set him up in a little tub.
Is that normal? Like, are they known for being
Yeah, they
cannibals?
are cannibalistic. You got to be careful with males too, because they're so much smaller than the females. They can eat them for sure.
Jeez, that's wild.
Yeah,
I mean, is that how many other boa species are cannibalistic like that?
I've had experience with Dumeril's boas eating each other. Not my babies,
Really?
but we at the first store I worked at, we had a cage with about 3 or 4 babies in there, and one of them ate one of its siblings, and it died. Of course, it couldn't like handle that, but it died eating it.
A a baby ate its sibling?
Yes, yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's wild when you come across stuff like that.
Man. And how old were they when that happened?
They were little. I'd imagine they were probably like 2 or 3 months old.
Wow. Man, what did he look like after eating his sibling? I mean, he
He
must
was
just
just completely. He looked like almost bloated. Like it ate it and died. So it was just like,
oh, wow.
yeah.
So when you
You'd
found
think
him, he
at
was
some point you'd
already
realize this is a bad idea. Like, but no.
he just was committed and figured I'm going
Yep,
through with
definitely
this.
committed.
And when you found him, he was already dead?
Already dead. Yeah.
Jeez. Do you have any experience with any crocodilians or anything like that?
That I don't. I wish I did.
Yeah, me too. Are you guys pretty heavily regulated in
Yeah, here
California?
in California, you can't have any kind of fun stuff like that. You can't have really any venomous either, just like the native species or rattlesnakes, or if they're a morph.
Okay. And so getting even if you wanted like the okay, so are like crocodilians like totally off the menu? You just can't get any of them?
Yep. Yeah, there's no exceptions.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I know in Florida you can get them, but you need to have time racked up working with them and things like that. So it's kind of
Like you
annoying.
got to rack up so many hours or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to find somebody to let you work under them. What about the with the venomous there? Can like getting the native animals is that similar? Or do you need to be permitted or do you just get
It's
them?
really weird how that works. To legally keep rattlesnakes, you just need a fishing license. Makes no sense, but that's how you got to do it here.
Wow. All
Yeah, that
right.
gives you, I guess, the right to collect native species as well. So,
Huh. Yeah, that's bizarre.
yeah.
I wish it was that easy in Florida. I'd love to have like a pygmy rattler or something like that. But again,
Right.
it's the same thing. You have to get hours together and before you can keep them. And it's a lot of hours too.
I bet, man. Yeah.
Do you ever think you might move to a place that's more friendly to keeping different kinds of animals and crocodilians and things like that?
I sure hope so because California sucks. I'd love to get out of here eventually.
What do you not like about it?
Everything. Everything's so expensive here, just the animal regulations.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. You could do a lot more in other states for sure.
Yeah. You're kind of describing Florida. It's funny because it's like everybody is moving here. And so it's really expensive. And then there's a ton of regulations on various reptiles.
On everything, yeah.
Yeah, like we can't even. I mean, obviously, I can't have berms or retics or anything like that. They're all prohibited, and they're trying to prohibit a lot of the iguanas too. They tried to take them like all out. They just wanted to make every single iguana unavailable.
Right.
But luckily. USARK Florida fought that pretty hard, and I think it got taken down. So it's just the green iguanas that we're not allowed to keep.
Right. We'll let you have your cyclura at least.
Yeah, yeah, because they were. I mean, and it's funny too because the green iguanas are all over Miami and everything. So I don't. It's damage is already kind of done.
Are they around where you live, like in your neighborhood and stuff?
We have spiny tails, the Mexican spiny tails.
Hmm.
We have those in our area, and we have the agamas, and there's populations of veiled chameleons that are out there, and then the
That's
berms,
wild.
obviously, down in the Everglades.
Yeah.
But and then in my neighborhood, we had a Asian water monitor walking around a few months ago.
Oh wow, just loose. Somebody lost it, or just
Just who knows? Probably. I mean, I would assume it was somebody's pet.
right.
And but yeah, that made the headlines, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, this isn't good for us
Wow.
keepers. But yeah, it looked quite fat and healthy.
Yeah, someone probably was missing that for sure.
Yeah. Do you keep any monitors?
Not anymore. I had a water monitor for a little while, but spacing out the enclosure, of course they grow quick, and looking
Hmm.
at all my iguanas, I'm like, this water monitor cage is going to take up a lot of space, I'd rather have that space for my iguanas, so I ended up selling her.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to get a water monitor, but there needs to be a lot of planning that goes into that.
Right.
I almost rushed into it a couple months ago, and then I was like,
It breaks.
yeah. Well, then I think I saw a picture of a 1-year-old water monitor, and I'm like, holy crap,
They grow that fast.
Yeah, it's wild
Yep.
how fast they grow. So yeah, I pumped the brakes and kind of figured I would hold off for a little bit and wait and think it out a little bit more. It seems like the cyclura grow kind of slow, right?
They do grow pretty slow. I got my male Cuban as a baby about 7 years ago. And right now, I'd say he's probably like in the 10 to 15 pound range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you and are you when you end up keeping them outdoors, is it going to be sort of outdoors and indoors, or do you think that you'll keep them outdoors with or do you not plan on keeping them outdoors?
I plan on keeping them outdoors, like in the summertime. I definitely like to like get a modified catio or something set up for them that could be fun.
Yeah. What are the Cubans max out at? Like how big do they get?
I think like lengthwise, you're looking at about like 3 to 4 feet and like somewhere around like 30 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, they're big, bulky lizards.
Yeah. Do they ever soak, or do they need like a large body of water or anything that they would use?
I never really see them soaking. When they were younger, they had, bigger water bowls that they could totally submerge into if they wanted to, but they never did. They usually just would just shit in it,
Yeah.
but not spend much time in it.
Yeah. What is so how much work is it just preparing all of their food on a daily basis, all the tortoises and iguanas?
My mornings are busy for sure. Yeah, because in the mornings I got to go. Our routine is get all their food ready, chop their salads, feed the iguanas, the bearded dragons inside, and then go outside, spray down all the red-footed tortoises, kind of flood their enclosure, feed everybody out there in the morning. With the bigger tortoises, I'll just throw like whole heads of produce out there, like dandelion greens, collard greens, things like that. Occasionally, I'll do like pellets too, like Missouri. They like that a lot.
Wow. Yeah, the salad prep has got to be a very time consuming.
It's definitely the most tedious thing, getting all their stuff ready and prepared and their plates and everything.
Yeah. How many do you grow any produce yourself, or do you buy it all?
I tried to a little bit this year. I kind of started late in the season though, so I'm hoping to be able to grow more next year. But yeah, as of
Okay.
right now, I'm pretty much buying it all.
How do you get that from like a wholesale, or do you just go to the store and just get them
Just the
stuff?
store. Yeah.
Wow. That's got to be expensive.
It's a lot. It's adding up quick, especially summertime. Like everyone's extra hungry, you know. So
Yeah, I bet. Now with the store, is it the same thing? Do you guys have to like do you have a budget that you just go out and shop and get all the greens and everything?
it's pretty cool. The greens we usually pick up like twice a week. We prepare them here for all our animals, and then we also sell prepackaged bags of the green mix that we make our animals. So we sell a lot of the veggies too.
Oh wow. That's cool. So you guys are kind of you get the return customers with the people that you set up for with tortoises and iguanas and things like that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many do you guys sell a lot of tortoises at the shop?
The tortoises we do. Yeah. The people always think they're so cute, especially the babies. You know. We
Yeah.
do go through them pretty quickly.
Wow. Do you guys sell anything else or is it just reptiles there?
We have a hamster right now, but it's pretty much usually just reptiles. We had someone donate a little trio of hamsters a couple months ago, and we just set them up in our rodent room, and they've been breeding like crazy. So we do have hamsters out for sale.
Oh,
But
okay.
other than that, just reptiles, amphibians.
Okay. What kind of amphibians do you guys stock?
So we usually do all kinds of different like types of dart frogs, tree frogs, salamanders, newts, things like that.
Nice. Do you guys do axolotls?
No, those guys unfortunately are illegal here in California. We do get the
Oh,
Spanish rib newts that have the cool like frilly gills when they're little, but they lose them as they mature. But that's the
huh.
closest to an axolotl we got.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. What
Yeah.
kind of dart frogs do you guys have?
Right now, I don't think we have any right now, but we usually get all kinds, um, various species of them. We get a lot of them in. Yeah, right
Nice.
now, frog wise, I think we just have like a bunch of dumpy tree frogs, clown tree frogs, a ton of Pac-Man frogs.
Nice. Do you guys have you ever bred Pac-Man frogs?
Have I ever bred Pac-Man frogs?
Yeah.
No, not
They
personally.
seem like
Yeah, I don't have any experience breeding amphibians.
yeah, I'd like to try doing that with the Pac-Man frogs. They're pretty cool.
That would be fun. The Pac-Mans are a lot of fun to keep too. I always enjoy them when we have them here.
Yeah. I used to have one and it was always a spectacle giving it like a small mouse.
Right. It's amazing what they could do.
Yeah, it's wild too, like their bite force. Like you would not think that they can bite as hard as they do for a frog. Like I
I've
mean,
had
they
one probably like a 50-cent piece size actually draw blood when it bit me.
really.
Yeah.
Wow. I had one
Yeah, it
that was
didn't really hurt. It
probably
was just kind of more startling that it was biting me because I wasn't expecting it.
yeah. How bad was the bite?
It
Like
wasn't too bad. It was literally like a little prick.
yeah,
Yeah, it didn't bleed very much, but it did cut the skin.
dang. Yeah, I think mine bit me and it was probably as big around as like a baseball.
Oh, good
And
size already.
yeah, and man, that thing I had literally like frog bite marks on my
Frog teeth marks.
finger. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But
That's gnarly.
all right, well, I really appreciate you coming on, Melissa. It was good talking to you.
Yeah,
And
man, no problem. Thanks for inviting me.
oh yeah, heck yeah. And keep up the awesome work. Your social medias are very entertaining, especially some of the feeding videos you do where you get the animals kind of jumping
We have a
out of
lot of
there and
fun here.
yeah. Is that do you when you do the feeding and you have them come out of the cage and kind of chase after the food, is that like a form of enrichment?
Definitely enrichment, especially for like the monitor lizards and stuff. We'll have them do laps around the store. Sometimes we'll take like a big cork piece and make like a little ramp from their cage and kind of trail them down there, have it run down there and chase it around.
Do you do that when the store is closed or do you do it when it's open?
We're open when we do that usually. Yeah, just like when it's kind of like quieter in the store, no one's in.
Yeah. What else do you offer for the animals for enrichment?
We got these new things that are pretty cool. They're like basically a little plastic ball thing that you could put worms and roaches in, like for monitors, bearded dragons, and it has little holes where if they knock it around enough, it gets the insects to fall out and they get the food. We recently got those, so that's something new we're kind of experimenting with.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did did you do that with I've seen people do that with false water cobras too, because their feed response is so insane.
I haven't personally tried anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised, man. Like, I bet you
Yeah.
if they knew something was in there, they would totally configure it to get that out of there.
Yeah, I mean, man, they are so driven for food. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, my girl, like, I'll give her, like, if my boas had a stillborn litter or something like that, I'd put, like, a plate of stillborns in there, and she'll just eat them off the plate.
Man,
Yeah.
they're so cool. All right, Melissa, thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man.